information that are inside the minds of the audience. So psychology means you are actually talking about how some people, how a particular individual thinks, or how he or she feels. What is his or her outlook towards the world? So it matters a lot, because if you are talking to someone in a hostile atmosphere, hostile হচ্ছে এই শত্রু ভাবাপন্ন. So let me write it down. You know about Fatiha ayat, right? So she was actually talking about India depriving us. So what happened? Some Indian diplomats in the United Nations, they gathered around her and they started questioning her, blaming her that yes, we have done so many things for Bangladesh. We have not. You are not acknowledging this. Acknowledge money. Shikar kora. Prakti shikar by yes, you have done something good to someone, and they are not really saying it loud. Like yes, you have done. So that is a hostile environment. But if you have a chance, look at that particular YouTube video, Fatiha Ayats, that particular YouTube video. Why? It is really remarkable that how she was not afraid at all. She answered them very bravely and very eloquently. Eloquent money ki? Eloquent মানে হচ্ছে খুব চমৎকার ভাবে বুঝিয়ে. Eloquence means বাগ্মিতা, বক্তৃতা দেওয়ার পারদর্শিতা. ঠিক আছে? So that means, the reason I cited this example is that she maneuvered. I'm throwing so many words at you guys. Maneuvered মানে হচ্ছে কৌশলের কোনো কিছু সরানো, কোনো কিছু কি বলে technically handle করা কোনো কিছু. Maneuver. So she maneuvered it so well. It seemed to the audience that she was not afraid at all. Whatever they said, the Indian diplomats, they were almost shouting at her. But she kept her cool. She was quiet. She was calm, and she answered them back. So that is an example of a hostile environment. When you are in a hostile environment, you have to have some knowledge about your audience. So those things are called psychological information. So we can distinguish it in this manner: age, all and religion, and all other categories that we discussed in the last class. Those were viewed from outside, and these are residing inside the audience. Reside মানে হচ্ছে ভেতরে অবস্থান করে, বা থাকা, বসবাস করে. So these are residing inside the audience, and that is very hard to notice. Hard to notice মানে বের করাটা কঠিন. So, but we still can do it. The presenter must make efforts, must try to find out that yes, my audience looks like this, or the audience I'll be facing, they will be hostile. They will be really not very friendly to me. So if you have that preparation before, then you are not going to be nervous. You are not going to, because once you are nervous, you cannot deliver your presentation as intended. যেভাবে চেয়েছিলে সেভাবে you cannot deliver it. So that is why thinking about or looking at these sort of attributes of your audience is very important. So attitude means actually It's a learned mindset. Learned mindset means what? You were not born with it. You learned it. Say, in a family, the father, the mother, grandfather, or whoever there speaks very loudly. Okay? So the child learns to speak loudly. So that is an attitude. So you gather it looking at your surroundings, then you think that this is alright, so you adopt this.
That is impossible.
Most of the time. Yeah, there might be some exception, but most of the time, children. See, look at these things. Once, Doraemon and other, did you guys see Ben 10? Did you guys watch Ben 10 when you were kids?
Yes.
So what happened? I mean, you feel a bit aggressive, you feel a bit energetic, you feel like you are going to fight someone, right? Or look at it, the wrestling. Whenever wrestling comes to Bangladesh, in television or whatever, Netflix, what happened? The kids, they become very violent. So that is your learned behavior. So this is your learned behavior. You feel that everyone is enjoying it, so I should be enjoying it too. No, you don't have to act that way. So how do you understand that your audience is very hostile? It is very hard to find out, but you have to, a good presenter actually tries to find out before he or she delivers his or her presentation. So, when you are going to talk about, say, something like the example that I always cite, like early marriage. If you are going to talk about early marriage, the disadvantage or the demerits of early marriage to village people, it is quite natural that some people will think that, no, this is all right, this is right. Because what else is there for the girls to do other than going for a family, raising a family? There are this sort of mindset. And let me remind you that what kind of noise is this? Social noise. Because this is embedded in the society. That is why when you are going to judge an audience, you will find out that yes, they many a times they have this social noise. So this is something that the way a person learns to react to certain stimulus. Stimulus maniki uddipana. Someone acts in a way, you respond. So if you have a learned behavior, you learn to react to that particular to any gesture or any kind of behavior from others in a particular way. So that is called an attitude. It can be changed, definitely. And sometimes, especially military academy, what happens there? A person very, say you are very straightforward, you do not really fear to say something in front of your elders or your seniors. But once you go to the military academy, what happens? They punish you for speaking out. They said, you do not talk, you just listen and obey their orders. So military training is that's a way of changing your attitude. You have learned to behave in a way once you grew up in a family, but once you went there, they changed your way of talking, your way of listening. So once you are in the military academy, you come back to your house and your parents are really surprised that how come you become so docile? Docile মানে হচ্ছে খুব শান্তশিষ্ট, সবকিছু মেনে চলে. How come you become such a quiet person or a docile person? Because you have changed your attitude.
So you see positive or negative to show attitude.
That's a good question. That's a good question, and that's a question we cannot agree on. Why? Because the military leaders, they will say that yes, in the military you have to obey your seniors, you have to obey the leaders, your senior officers. Otherwise, there will be chaos. But looking at the genocide here in Palestine, and also what happened? Did you hear that an Air Force private, meaning a soldier in the Air Force, he set fire on himself. He committed suicide like 2 months ago, just to protest that yes, whatever the United States is helping the Israel committing the genocide, that goes against idealism and adorsho. So I am protesting it. So that means that he or she actually speaks up, even if the institution in which they are operating, they do not like it. In the Air Force or in the Army, there is a thing called, in Bangladesh, I'm sure there is no such thing. In the advanced countries, like the United States or UK, they have a thing called conscientious objector. That means you are in the army, but you can object to go to a war basing on your humanitarian values. You feel that this is wrong, so you can say, no, I'm not going to join the war. That sort of things happened in the history of the United States. The United States is, this is not actually known to you guys. United States is the most militarized and imperial state in the history of human civilization. They have taken so many military operations all around the world, and lots of people died, innocent civilians. They died because they were killed because of these operations. So what happened is that many soldiers who were forced to go with guns and killing people, once they came back to their home country, the United States, they became very frustrated. They suffered from psychological disorders. There are lots of them, and that is a fact. The United States government keeps it under the surface. They don't want the world to know about it. But there is this tendency. People are speaking out. Still, lots of people, even in the Israeli army, there are not that many, but there are people, they are speaking out now. And there is a group called Veterans Against War. Veteran meaning people who had been in the war. Veteran মানে হচ্ছে প্রবীণ বা যারা retired. Those guys, they were in the Vietnam War, or they were in the Iraq War, in the Afghanistan War. They saw that those wars killed a lot of innocent people. So they are against it. They are now speaking against it. So that means that your institution cannot always change people. If you have a, yes.
ইসরায়েলি যারা মানে প্রাপ্তবয়স্ক হওয়ার পর তো নির্দিষ্ট একটা সময়ের জন্য ট্রেনিং এ যেতে হবে বাধ্যতামূলক।
Right.
এটি অন্য কোনো কান্ট্রিতে আছে নাকি শুধু
Yeah,
ইসরায়েল?
there are many.
কোরিয়াতে আছে।
In North Korea, I guess, probably South Korea, probably also in Japan. So that is actually Israelis it's an interesting story actually. We do not have scope to discuss it, but they were born actually, the nation was born on the military operations. So, and they are also less in numbers. There are a lot of Arab countries and Arab people surrounding them. So to continue as a nation, all of them are now like they cannot really escape that. They have to fight. They have to know how to fight. They have to know how to operate a machine gun or do unarmed combat. This sort of physical training, they have to go for it. So that's a sad reality. I mean, like you.
আরবদের যখন যুদ্ধ হয়েছিল তখন স্যার ইসরায়েলের প্রধান শক্তি ছিল তো আমেরিকা স্যার।
Israel cannot act alone, actually. I mean, although they have lots of postures and they talk about it, but they cannot act alone. Even now, if United States doesn't help them, they will be just wiped out. So we have gone far away from our topic. Anyway, so you understand that you have an attitude that's a learned behavior and you can change it. That it is possible to change. And probably a presenter can change people too. I mean, we as teachers, we try to change our students in a better way. I don't tell you that you should go for bank robbery or go stealing this sort of thing, but we usually try to tell young people that yes, you should be ideal, you should be a good citizen of the country. So that is our, we are trying to change the attitude. Yes, in a way, but right. I mean, although I have second thoughts about it. Second thoughts বুঝো মানে আমি এটা conventionally যেভাবে দেখা হয় I look at it in a different way. There was a time demand. A leader, I mean, this is a thing that many of us really do not realize, that a leader cannot really create the whole situation by him or herself. You can say that Sheikh Mujib was the product of his time. He also, it is we call it a mutual change actually. Because if there was no movement, then there would be no Sheikh Mujib. Again, if there would be no Sheikh Mujib, then the movement would go the other way, probably. So they are reinforcing each other. But most of the time we view that, yes, Sheikh Mujib changed everything. No, there was a build-up of the situation. And we also many a times forget that there was another force. There's other forces who already also helped for the citizens of the Eden time to get a consciousness about the atrocities or the injustices that the Pakistanis were committing. You heard about the polar cyclone, right? The island of Monpura was wiped out. 500,000 people died in 1970. That was the biggest cyclone in the history of Bangladesh, also in history of the world, you can say. Because in terms of a lot of people died. West Pakistanis did not do a thing. They got the message that this cyclone was in the making and it is coming towards, from the Bay of Bengal, it is coming towards the southern part of Bangladesh. They didn't do a thing. And I'm not really sure who said that, but there was a saying that, well, let them die. Because it will be easier for us to govern. Govern মানে হচ্ছে শাসন করা। তাদেরকে বলতে দাও আমরা আমাদের জন্য একটা ভালো। কারণ কি around that time Bangladeshis, I mean, people from East Pakistan were the majority. We were 7 crore, they were like 3.5 crore Pakistanis. So that was quite a inhuman thing to do, right? I mean, the other part of the country that is going to face a tremendous cyclone. I mean, you do not raise a finger. You don't do anything. So that was quite inhuman. So there was also a situation, and people were really fed up that I mean, you are like some people, they are being governed. You do not get into the administrative service, EPS, no, Pakistan Civil Service, PSC. Very few Bengalis were allowed to get into the administration, in the bureaucracy, in the army, in the navy. So why? Just because Bengalis were not capable? No, that was not the reason. There was a systematic discrimination. Discrimination to set them apart. So you understand that a leader, actually, those factors were actually kind of making people furious about Pakistanis. So they rose up, and they needed a leader, and Sheikh Mujib provided that leadership. So that's how the history was made, you know. Anyway, so we have also beliefs. Beliefs are, you can say that these are the superset of attitude. Belief is something very solid. You can change your attitude, but you cannot. It is very hard to change your belief. Whatever you believe in something, the way you look at the world. So, as a presenter, this is quite a challenge. Again, I mean, if you have to say, right now, we are thinking about curbing the carbon emission. Carbon emission, do we understand?
Yes, sir.
The activities that you do on every day, that involves some kind of burning of energy. So, what kind of energy? These are fossil fuel. Fossil fuel means carbon, hydrocarbon. So that is why it is called carbon footprint. Say I come from my home to the university and I use a car. Usually I don't, but I use a car. So what happened? I burned some natural gas, and that natural gas produced some kind of emission, carbon emission. So I polluted Earth to an extent. So that is called my carbon footprint. You guys, those who are riding the buses, you are producing carbon footprint very little. You should pat yourself in the back. পিঠে চাপড় দেওয়া উচিত যে হ্যাঁ আমি environment friendly ওয়েতে যাতায়াত করছি, because the bus would come this way anyway. So but it is bringing people here, that is not really increasing the carbon use. It would come this way. Public transportation is that way. This is better. This is better for a society because you are not really increasing your carbon emissions. You are not really wasting fuel. The more car we have, like in Bangladesh, especially in Dhaka, we have lots of cars. But remember, this is quite a discriminatory situation.
The gas which release point may produce so many carbon.
GK আমি ক্লাসে জরুরি কিছু GK আমি ক্লাসে আছি জরুরি কিছু আমি ক্লাসে mental health patients. আচ্ছা এখানে বলে দিচ্ছি সেটা হচ্ছে যে এই মেন্টাল হেলথ পেশেন্টরা হচ্ছে নট ভেরি এজড, সে ফ্রম 14 to 45। আচ্ছা, এখানে একটা ট্রিক আছে। সেই ট্রিকটা কি, যে 14 ইয়ার্স ওল্ড যারা, তারা মেন্টাল হেলথ পেশেন্ট হলে তাদের কিভাবে হতে পারে, আর 45 ইয়ার ওল্ড একজন মহিলা মনে করো, সে তার বাচ্চা কাচ্চা আছে, সে কিন্তু সে ডাক্তার হতে চেয়েছিল, ডাক্তার হতে পারেনি, তাকে সংসার করতে হয়েছে। এটা কি ধরনের মেন্টাল, মানে সে এই ফ্রাস্ট্রেশনটা নিতে পারে, ঠিক আছে? মানে আমি বলছি যে এটা একটা ওয়ান ইনস্ট্যান্স, একটা এক্সাম্পল, ঠিক আছে? আচ্ছা, আরেকটা কি দেওয়া যায়? আচ্ছা, বাস ড্রাইভার্স ফর সেফটি, এটা গত ক্লাসে আমরা কথা বলেছিলাম, এটা নিয়ে কথা বলতে হবে। ওই তুমি অডিয়েন্সের প্রোফাইলটা আসলে লিখবা, ওদেরকে কি বলবো সেটা বলার দরকার নেই, অডিয়েন্সটা কি রকম, তাদের এডুকেশন লেভেল কি, তাদের এইজ কি হতে পারে, তাদের রিলিজিয়াস ইগুলো, ওরিয়েন্টেশন কি, এগুলো জাস্ট 2-3 লাইন। আর আরেকটা হচ্ছে কি বলবো, যদি তুমি চাও সবগুলো লিখতে পারো, অসুবিধা নেই। মানে আমি চাচ্ছি যে তোমরা নিজেদের মধ্যে ডিসকাস করেই করো, একটা গ্রুপ করো, মানে সবাই একসাথে না, 3-4 জনের একটা গ্রুপ করো। হ্যাঁ, আরেকটা কি হতে পারে, কার্বন ওয়ার্কার্স, ঠিক আছে? আচ্ছা, হ্যাঁ, মানে আমি ওইটা আসলে লেখার দরকার নেই, ফর সেফটি এটা আমরা আমাদের এটা তো আমার মেসেজ হওয়ার কথা, প্রেজেন্টারের মেসেজ হওয়ার কথা, তাই না? কিন্তু আমরা জাস্ট শুধু অডিয়েন্স অ্যাসেসমেন্টটা করতে চাচ্ছি, যে এই 3টা গ্রুপের আমার মানে 3টাই করো তোমরা, মানে কিন্তু নিজেদের মধ্যে একটু আলাপ আলোচনা করো, যে তাহলে কি হবে, ওই ক্যাটাগরিগুলো হবে হচ্ছে, যে ক্যাটাগরিতে এগুলো লিখবা সেগুলো হচ্ছে কি, এইজ, জেন্ডার, রিলিজিয়ন, এডুকেশন, আর হচ্ছে বিলিফ। এবং তুমি দেখবা যে এই ফ্যাক্টরগুলো এগুলোকে আবার সুন্দর করে, মানে স্ট্রংলি এগুলোকে ইনফ্লুয়েন্স করে, অ্যাটিটিউড, বিলিফস, তোমার এইজ, তোমার জেন্ডার, ঠিক আছে? তাহলে আমি প্রবলি আই উইল বি হিয়ার ইন 20 মিনিটস, এসে আমরা কথা বলবো। আর কেউ যদি প্রেজেন্টেশন দিতে চাও